Hello everyone and welcome to the VeryReasonablePilots podcast. I am your host, Charles Lung. With me as always is my co-host, editor, producer, co-pilot, and gunner, Jacob Gloth. How are you doing today, Jacob?
I'm alright. I'm excited to pitch new, vibrant, and plain show.
Okay, I just saw your notebook because this is the first time we've recorded in the same room in quite a while. How long would you say? Almost a year.
About a year, yeah.
Yeah, about a year. So I now get to peek at your notebook.
See all these notes?
Well, you've got it open in front of you.
I got 2 pages of notes here.
And it looked like you have a show titled Thick.
Oh, see, that's something different.
I like that. I wanna let's have a show named Thick with a K. No, not that extra C's bullshit.
Well, this show is not called that. It's called Unpaid Internships.
Okay.
Now, this is my least original idea because essentially, I have a friend who is doing an unpaid internship right now. Mm-hmm. And he has the worst stories of his job ever. So I just, made them worse and made a show out of it.
So
combined it with some other stuff as well.
It's set in a Scranton paper company.
No.
And it follows a man named Jim, and he's going in and he's looking at the camera and he's winking. Does he do that? Does he wink at the camera?
He gets paid as a job.
Yeah.
This is unpaid. This is an internship.
It's The Office, the beginning years.
Anyway.
Because they're Jim's I've been at this fucking company for 10 years at the beginning of The Office. Oh. So I say we...
So, no, that's not what my show's about.
Jim the Re-Jimining. Jiminy Jim, and it's old. What's his name? What's that guy's name?
Michael Scott.
No, old. Fantastic Four man. Everyone wants him to be Fantastic Four, but he's a dick. He plays Jim.
John Krasinski.
Yeah, John Krasinski.
Oh, why didn't you just say the actor that plays him? You just didn't say that. You said Fantastic Four man instead.
Fantastic Four man, yeah. You know what I mean by that.
Well, so I did, but I was like, it can't be John Krasinski because he would have just said the actor that plays Jim.
You
just said old, and I thought you meant old.
No, but you get
the guy who played Mr. Richard.
Steve Carell.
No, who played Reed Richards in the old Jessica Alba?
Oh, I have no idea what that guy is.
I thought that's who you were talking about. I was like, I have no idea. Anyway, the show surrounds Derek Border, that's his name. He's an unpaid college student intern that goes to Saints University, which is a made-up school in Missouri, which is where this baseball team is that he's interning at. Now, he needs an internship to graduate school. And so he got an internship with the Missouri Westminster Waffles, which is a minor league baseball team. So they're mainly positions are mainly filled by unpaid interns, and there's 2 or 3 managers, and then there's the boss. Team? No, the actual players are paid, but the stadium staff is all interns, all unpaid interns. The team only survives through unpaid internships.
Damn.
And it's 3 managers, and then it has a boss, the main, the guy that owns the team that's come up with a scheme where he just...
This must be a blockbuster.
And anyway, as I said, it's in Missouri. Their fans are largely a Missourian crowd, very rambunctious and... we'll say largely toothless. We're gonna play up on some
stereotypes,
some Midwestern Appalachian stereotypes.
Well, then we gotta say it right. It's Missouri, not Missouri. Missouri.
Very hillbilly crowd.
Yeah. Let's say they're not all toothless. They've each got 1 or 2 teeth. They're hogging all to themselves.
Okay.
So maybe
there's a lot of toothless people.
Maybe the whole stadium together could make 3 sets of teeth.
Oh my god.
In full.
It's not that bad, but you do have the stereotypes in there.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Derek, he needs to complete this internship. He's a marketing student, and this is the only job he could get was this internship because he applied so late because he was lazy. And at the camp, there's a few other characters, or at the stadium. We have Lindsay, who's the 40-year-old ticket manager who talks like a sloth. Have you seen Zootopia?
I have seen Zootopia.
You know the sloth scene?
I do.
I imagine she talks like that.
Okay. But she's the ticket person?
So she's at the front office.
Yeah.
And you have to buy your tickets from her, and it's like the slowest process
hands
ever.
Hands it to you. Seat 213, honey. And then hands it to you again. Takes it back. Stamps it. That's aisle 2, seat 13, sweetheart. And hands it to you.
And you take it, and then you go up to the stand, and then you show the person the ticket, and they're like, she didn't stamp it right, you gotta go back.
Yeah.
Anyway, then we have Marcus, who's the young fun manager.
Ooh.
Who's extremely likable, fun, really happy and hilarious character. Except he constantly tricks other people into doing his job because he's so likable. And he doesn't really want to work. And so he's not really at work a lot. So he's constantly like, oh, I've got a thing. Can you cover for me tomorrow? It's like, Marcus, you've worked like 2 days this week.
Yeah.
This is a full-time job. But he's nice and fun, so,
I think
he gets away with it.
I think we should make him more of an asshole. Make him more of a Matt Gaetz type.
No, I like funny Marcus.
Not a Matt Gaetz type? He's not seducing 17-year-olds. You don't know who Matt Gaetz is? No. You're a journalist?
Oh, he's the Florida politician.
Yes.
Why do you always say this shit? You're always like, you're a journalist, you don't know this?
You should pay attention to politics in the country. You can cut this part out.
Isn't it Gaetz?
Yeah.
Okay, when you said Gates, I was thinking Gates. And first off, you said it, so I assumed it was a pop culture reference and not like a politician.
Yeah.
I was like, is Matt Gaetz a character in what show? Like,
he's been accused of trafficking 17-year-olds in order to have sex with them.
Yeah, he's the Florida guy.
Yeah, I think we should make our character like that.
Maybe he can be the third manager that I didn't write.
Okay. Yes. Sleazy Steve.
Then we have Seth. Seth is Derek's fellow intern and friend. He's kind of an interesting character because he's constantly high, but he's highly productive and relaxed. So he's relaxed, that makes sense, but he's super productive. Like, he's always getting his shit done, like, weirdly quickly, and no one understands it.
Maybe he works like the hot dog stand or something like that. And he, is constantly, like, he has the best hot dog stand in the whole stadium. His line is always twice as long as everybody else's, because all of his stuff is clean and works really efficiently. But you never see him actually handing hot dogs.
He's intern like Mark, so he does everything. But he just, because they have to do everything. So they got hired as sales interns, but they do sales for, like, an hour a day. And then the rest of the day, they're, like, doing miscellaneous jobs. Like, they have to help out janitorial staff. Yeah. They have to, like, help out at the ticket office in the front. They do literally all the work for the stadium. Because this year, they didn't hire... They usually hire, like, 10 interns, and this year they only hired 2.
Oh, no.
So, Seth and Derek have to do all the work.
Could we have it be 3? I think 3.
3.
We should have a third...
Maybe we have a third intern.
Who's, like, they hate her. Or hate her.
We'll say she quits after a few days.
Okay.
Because she's like, oh, actually, I've got a better internship lined up.
She gets harassed by...
Oh, you know what might be fun, actually, if we have 15 interns at the beginning of the show, and through the show, all the other interns slowly leave because it's either too much work, or they have another internship lined up, so they leave and go do that.
Or there's like, my parents are taking me on vacation to Aruba. We're going to be there for 2 months. Bye.
And they're like, you can't do that. And they're like, yeah, sorry.
Yep, see ya. Fuck off.
And then we have the owner, Mr. Brown. Not really anything interesting about Mr. Brown besides the fact he hates Derek.
Why?
He hates Derek. In the beginning, he hates Derek just because he hates his stupid face. That's the way it works. And then later, he likes Derek because Derek's going to date his daughter.
Why would
and then he's going to hate Derek because he broke up with his daughter.
Oh, I think he should not mind Derek. And then Derek starts getting chummy with a girl who works there.
I was thinking he's like a really nice boyfriend. And that's why he likes Derek. Because he's like, oh, he's a sweet kid, really. And then he breaks up with his daughter and breaks her heart. And that's when he fucking hates him.
But have you ever met a dad who likes their daughter's boyfriend?
Oh, yeah.
Likes them?
It's the dad. It's the dads that wish they had a son. And they're like, oh my god, I've got a son now.
That's creepy. And I'm not sure you want to play up Mr. Brown's hatred of his own daughter. So I think
it's not that he hates his art, because they don't have a son, so they're like, oh my god, we can go to like baseball games. I own a baseball team. Oh,
we
this
can
is
always
great.
watch it. Maybe
She hates watching baseball games, and he's the only one that'll watch them with him. And then when they break up, he doesn't watch baseball games with him anymore. Mm-hmm. And we can have this really emotional scene in the future where he's like crying. He's like, I'm not upset that you broke her heart. I'm upset that you stopped watching baseball games. And they'll be really emotional, and the audience will tear up, being like, oh, he just wanted to hang out. And then they'll be happy later because they'll be like watching games together and such.
Well, I would like. Actually, that sounds good, because this reminds me of a Bob's Burger episode where Jean starts dating a girl because her dad, owns a record company, or whatever. So I think it would be good if Derek, like, he starts getting close to this girl that he doesn't really like, but he's just like being nice, and then after a few weeks, he realizes, or he finds out, or is told that it's the Mr. Brown's daughter.
Oh.
And so he's like, ever since I've started hanging out with his daughter, somebody that nobody likes for whatever reason we can come up with.
He owns a baseball team, so I assume she's really snooty and rich.
She's spoiled and, smug or whatever. And so he hangs out with her, and so Mr. Brown starts liking him, and he starts dating the daughter. Mm-hmm. And so Mr. Brown's like, you don't have to work, don't worry about it. And like he gets all the, free food, he gets, free run of the thing. But he's like, he can't stand being around this girl because she's just the worst. And, I don't know.
And he'll finally break. He'll be like, I can't, even though it's so great. In the beginning, he'll be like, all right, I need to break up with her. Then he'll realize that all this good stuff's happening to him, so he'll stick with it. Mm-hmm. And then he'll, enjoy that for a little bit, but then it'll be too much for him to handle, and he gives up on it.
And then Seth will be like, hanging out with them too.
Yeah.
And, he offers her to hit off his joint, and she's like, ew, that's disgusting. And then Seth pulls Derek aside. He's like, you need to bring up her. You need to get her out of here. Because maybe, I think it would be fun if Seth and Derek both smoked weed, but Seth always brought the weed, and Derek just enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And so that's like a thing they bond over.
I imagine, so just to go on that for a little second, I imagine that Seth somehow does it covertly. Yeah. So he has it in like, maybe he wraps it like a cigarette. Mm-hmm. So it looks like it's a cigarette and everyone's cool with that. Yeah. Because they're like, oh, he's just smoking a cigarette. People are like, well, why does it smell like that? And be like,
perfume.
Yeah. Just some excuse like that.
Yeah.
And, because then I imagine a funny scene where, he's like helping a fan out, like for some reason, and he's like smoking what looks like a cigarette, and the fans can be like, "You smoke cigarettes? That's disgusting." He's like, "No, it's
green.
It's green." She'd be like, "Oh, really? Oh, can I have some?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure." Yeah. So like she'll be like disgusted with him, and then realizing it's weed, she'll be like, "Oh, cool."
Yeah. And then like he pulls out a pack of cigarettes, like pulls one out, and it's like, Is that weed too? And he's like, no. No? Yeah, but they still hang out because she's smoking his weed.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then, so that I imagine is one part of our sitcom here.
Yeah.
Is the daily life at the stadium. Mm-hmm. And I imagine after work he goes back and he goes to hang out with his friends, his college friends at a bar. So he lives on campus, but he drives to work every day at the stadium.
Maybe it's summertime, so he's like living on campus. Like
he's living on campus, but like that's just because of apartment contract.
Yeah, it's like a reduced amount of people. That's like less than half the normal amount. And he's like, yeah, I work at the stadium all day. My parents pay for the apartment. Yeah. And, I get paid maybe like $30 for every week that I work there. So that's what I spend on leisure.
Yeah. Makes sense. Because he probably gets like a stipend. He doesn't get paid, but maybe he got like a stipend originally.
Yeah, you get like a little something. I think for most, at least nowadays. I think.
And some days on particularly high load days, if they have him like working 12 hours that day, and he can like volunteer for those sort of days, and then he can get paid for those.
And maybe he. I think it would be fun if you had like there was a fancy day. Like, oh, we're doing a black tie event at the Waffle Stadium or whatever, and he's like a valet, and he makes like $600, parking people's cars for them, because all the richest, fanciest people of
Missouri,
they exist.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, they come out, and he's like, shit, I could just do this instead.
Yeah, and the second half of the show, obviously, as I was just saying, is him at his college, largely empty, and with his few friends that are there, and they have they have the college bar that they go to, and they hang out after work. Mm-hmm. And all of his friends are also in internships, and so this way we get his stories through like the main plot, and we also get little details from when he's retelling stories to his friends, like scenes that we didn't get in the original showing. We also get his friends' unpaid internship stories. So his roommate, his name is Ryan. Ryan works as a video editor and for an internship for like a film company. Mm-hmm. And his job's pretty easy. He works for like a couple hours a day because he gets it done real fast, and then there's not much work. Yeah. So Ryan has like a kick-ass easy job, and he's
he's actually
he's Derek's roommate, and he gets paid a little bit. Yeah. We'll say that. And Derek hates that, and Ryan's like always when Derek gets home, Ryan is like, asleep on the couch or like playing video games or something that bothers.
Maybe he's just like
Derek, who worked all day.
He gets home one day and he's just like got this huge bong. And he's like, yeah, I bought it with all the money I got from working. And he's like, so was your day at work? And it's like, he's covered in like ketchup stains, and like there was a food fight. I had to clean it all up.
Yeah, he's a complete mess.
Yeah.
He's got sunburn because he forgot to bring sunscreen, so it's just like 3rd-degree burns all over him. He's completely red.
Yeah.
Then there's Kiana. She's a friend of theirs at the bar, or like they're one of their friends that they hang out with at the bar. Mm-hmm. She has a stressful computer science job that involves national defense and hacking, but she only refers to it very vaguely. Yeah. And never complains about it. So like, you only ever get it when people are like, I don't know, Kiana, how was your day? And she's like, oh, it was all right. And then we see like flashbacks of her like at a computer and like someone yelling at her, like, Kiana, they're gonna get into the Pentagon. You need to stop this. And she's like, I'm working.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
And then she's like, yeah, not too stressful.
Maybe it's like every couple episodes we get a flashback to her job, and it's like one episode she's like defending the Pentagon from hackers, the next episode she's like flying a drone
or something.
Like the next episode I think it would be funny if like we had her actually transition into like Black Ops CIA content. Like she like, oh, my day was all right, and then it shows like what's that movie? Zero Dark 30?
Yeah.
And it's like she's on a helicopter with an assault rifle and like smoking a cigarette and like firing.
It's just an insane job.
Yeah, and she's like, yeah, it was fine. Maybe she's like, I work for the CIA, work for the CSI.
Miami TV show
set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, that's cool. Did you meet this person that's on CSI Miami? She's like,
who?
Yeah, yeah. Every day we talk all the time. Oh, God, Kiana, you have such a cool job. She's like, yeah.
And then you just like fade out, and she's got the 1,000-mile stare and like fire and like guns and screams go on in her head. And then I think that it would be cool if we had like have you seen that 70s show?
Clips and such.
Yeah. There's the sit around the table smoke sesh part of that 70s show, where they just like have stupid conversations and the camera's like pointed at their faces.
Yeah.
And it turns, rotates around the table. Yeah. I think it'd be cool if we just had them like getting drunk, hanging out, just telling these stories, and like it would be their faces. Mm-hmm. And then as it switched, it would like cut to what they're remembering from work.
Oh.
And it's like, yeah, my boss made me clean all this pallet of glasses, and then he took the pallet and threw it out the window and shattered it everywhere and made me clean it up.
So
yeah, and then it cuts to, and it shows that person was lying.
Yeah, they just like dropped it or something.
Yeah, they dropped it and were like,
yeah. That might work with Jerry, my next character. Jerry, he works once or twice a week at a vet clinic, and he constantly complains and vents about his job, which when he explains it very awfully, and it's like this horrendous occurrence that has happened to him, and like his life is so hard. He's like saving animals' lives, and he has like people yelling at him not to save the animal. But it's just like he doesn't really do anything. He just like takes out the trash or something.
Yeah, he's like,
but he's just making up bullshit all the time because he wants his friends to think he does something cool.
He's sitting at the keyboard. He's sitting at the desk reception. It's like, hi, are you here for Lucy? Yes. Okay. Here, if you sit down, the doctor will be with you shortly. And that cuts to like, I had to put down this litter of puppies earlier today. It was such a nightmare, but they all had...
I refused to do it
rabies.
too, and I saved them. I saved every puppy and brought them into the world. I adopted them, but then I gave them to someone else, so I don't have any puppies at my apartment.
I sucked the rabies out of their... They got bit by a rabies raccoon, and I sucked the rabies out.
They're like, wow. Well, they all know he's spouting bullshit,
yeah.
but he does it. And some of the two like sort of gimmicks of him is that he immediately after Derek tells an awful story, he goes in for the one-up. Yeah. Every time he has to immediately go in and say something that's better, and it's always way more dramatic. And he elaborates on all the little details.
Little girl was in the lobby, and she started choking, and I went out and I gave her the Heimlich, and she was choking on a hairball. And then the whatchamacallit, veterinarian's office caught on fire, and I had to bust in through save all the animals, but the fire got put out fast enough, so there's no actual damage. If you go and look, there isn't any. There's no visible damage. But
don't need to check. Don't worry about it.
There was a fire. Don't worry. Definitely don't check the fire department's Twitter page where they post all the fires.
No, don't do that. And another sort of catchphrase of his is that every day he walks into the bar and says, I'm having a bad day. I'm having a bad day. And they're always like, you never have a good day. You're always in a bad mood.
Yeah.
He's never in a good mood. He always tells them he's in a bad mood.
Yeah.
If he like says something that's like a little annoying, people are like, what's up with you today? And he's like, I'm in a bad mood. And like, why? You're always in a bad mood.
You're always in a bad mood.
You're never in a good mood.
Dick. You ever thought about that? Maybe you're just an asshole.
And then our last character is Amy. Amy's an exchange student with a biology internship that's really complicated, and she talks about it, but she doesn't explain it in ways that make sense to a layperson. Yeah. She just explains it in her complicated biology lingo, so no one has any idea what she's talking about, but they don't want her to explain it because it's like really boring. Confusing and boring. So they just sort of like, that's really cool. You plugged in the thingamabopper to the smother machine. Yep, that's cool.
And it made the algae 10% more efficient at recycling carbon dioxide.
Yeah.
Deep sea level. Oh, okay, great, thanks. And I think it would be funny if she was like really highly qualified. She's like multiple doctorates, but they're all from like overseas universities.
Well, she's pretty young. She's like, their age.
Well, okay, maybe she's aged up a little bit, or she's just got one doctorate, but it's from like an overseas university, so no one in America recognizes it. They're like, nope, doesn't count. Yeah, nope, you got your doctorate in what's it called when things are underwater?
Submerged. What are you saying?
Aquatic biology.
Oh.
You got your doctorate in aquatic biology from a University of Newfoundland. Doesn't fucking count. Gotta go to University of Missouri.
Maybe, but see, I want her to be their age, so I can't. Mm-hmm. I was just imagining her being like a really smart student who got this like sweet biology job that no one really, when people like can't understand it, they have like no way of interpreting what she's saying, so they just sort of pretend like they know what she's saying. Yeah, so those are the characters. I like them. I have the pilot idea if you'd like to hear about it.
I would love to.
But that's all I have left is the pilot idea.
Okay.
So, all right, here we go.
I want to hear it. So I got some episode ideas stirring up in my brain pan.
Now, remember how I said that this show is really just the events of my friend's life? Yeah, so this is basically the day that he told me about. I've turned it into a show and exaggerated some things so that makes the story a little bit more perfect.
Yeah.
So Derek wakes up at 6 a.m. with 40 missed calls. So apparently he was supposed to be a manager that day for for the baseball game, which means his job is essentially like he starts the game, he makes sure everything's like all the rules are being played out. He's basically in charge of like the stadium for that day.
Yeah.
He's doing that because Marcus didn't want to go into work. Marcus, that's his job, but Marcus didn't want to go into work, so he made Derek do it. So 6 a.m. He should have been there. He should have been there at 4. So obviously 40 missed calls. Yeah. So he runs over. He wakes up Ryan. Ryan drives him to the game because Derek doesn't have a car, but Ryan does have a car.
Maybe Derek's got a Segway.
But it's like a far drive, so he couldn't do it on a Segway.
Yeah, I know. Maybe he's like, if I leave here at 4, I'll get there by 6 on my Segway.
Yeah. So Ryan drives him, and he forgets sunscreen. That's important for later. So he's managing a high school game at the stadium, full of belligerent parents and fans, all yelling at him. First off, for being late because they're there and they're like, where is he? The game doesn't start till 10, but he had to set up stuff, so the game isn't set. Everything's not set up until well after. So like it's like 11 by the time it's set up, and they should have started at 10. And so fans are yelling at him and such, and then they start the game. And the fans are just like crazy. Like these kids are young. This is like the freshman baseball team. So like, we've got how old are freshmen? Like 15, 16?
If that.
I think it's like 15, 16.
14. Let's say they're all 14.
It's like 14, 15-year-olds, okay? Yeah.
And they're all the kids.
So they're not great at baseball, but they're like okay.
Yeah.
But these fans are like way too into it. Like they're like berating the batters and stuff, like screaming at him, calling him like all these names and stuff, and it's like this sensitive, like, acne covered 14-year-old who's just trying to like play baseball.
Maybe it's like this game was not meant to be a big game at all, but the big boss, Mr. Brown, was like, no, I insist you come and have the entire game televised for the whole world to see, you child.
Yeah.
I insist on it.
And they have like all the stadium staffs there. So it's like a big deal. Yeah. Like this game. And so Derek has to manage everything. He's never managed this before, so he's like learning on the job. Like he has no idea how to do anything, but he's in charge of everyone. Mm-hmm. So everyone's like asking him questions. He doesn't know what to say, but he's just guessing because everything's on him. No one else is there. He's the top of the food chain. Yeah. So, and he has fans constantly yelling at him. And at one point in the game, near the end, it's the last inning, but due to this obscure rule for this tournament, they have to play another inning. And one team is winning and the other team's losing. The losing team wants there to be another inning. The winning team does not want there to be another inning. So they're yelling at him saying like, there's not another inning. What are you talking about? You're an idiot. You don't know the rules of baseball. How are you an American? He's like getting yelled at, and there's like tons of fans all around him crowding him, like yelling at him, pushing him. And he just like freaks out, and he's like, you know what? You're ejected. You're ejected. You're ejected. He starts ejecting parents like left and right. And they're like, what? No. And they just keep getting more and more mad at him. He's like screaming, ejecting everyone. He ends up banning half the town from the stadium in this spree of his. And they're all screaming. They're like, I'm not fucking leaving. What are you talking about? I'm not leaving this stadium. He's like, get the fuck out of here. I'm gonna call the police if you don't get out of here. All right. And he's like, what are you banning me for? You're yelling at me. I don't care. Just get out. Leave. Ends up shutting the game down because everyone's screaming at him. He's like pissed off. Gets back to the bar, telling his friends this, and they're like, does anyone else know they're banned yet? Did you like tell your boss or anything? He's like, no. And he's like, well, when are they gonna know? Are they gonna know? Like, how many people did you ban? And he's like, like 100 or so. Like 100 people. You banned 100 people from the stadium? He's like, yeah, I probably wasn't allowed to do that. I really wasn't allowed to do that. And then he gets a call from like Marcus, and Marcus is like, hey, did something weird happen at the game today? He's like, I had to ban some people. Okay, why did you ban them? They're like, oh, they were belligerent and they were yelling at me. Like, okay, that's okay. Like, how many people did you ban? He's like, a few. He's like, okay, all right, because Mr. Brown's calling me. He's a little upset, saying like a lot of the season ticket holders are pulling their tickets. Mm-hmm. He's got half the town, you know, upset at him, and like, you know, we got a game tomorrow for like the actual team, and I don't think we're gonna have any fans there. He's like, you know, I'm sorry. He's like, okay, you're gonna have to go out tomorrow to all these people's houses and unban them. Like, go out and hand them a certificate for like a free game or something. He's like, that's the end of the episode.
Yeah. And then the Curb Your Enthusiasm music plays.
Yep.
As he takes a drink of his beer. He's like, but we had seen earlier in the episode somebody put something gross in his beer, like tartar sauce or something, and mixed it in.
Yeah.
So he takes a swig, and then, you know,
I think it would be fun to show this episode, like, you start with him walking into the bar with, like, his clothes are a mess. He's, like, sweaty. He has sunburn. His hair is, like, everywhere, and he has, like a black eye or something.
Yeah.
And he sits down, and they're like, what happened to you? And he just, like, looks over at Kiana's drink and, like, takes the whole thing, downs it. Then he grabs Jerry's drink, downs the whole thing, puts it down. He's like, all right, have I got a story for you guys?
And then...
and it's, like, back and forth between, like, the bar and them asking questions and him telling them the story.
Mm-hmm. And every, like, couple of scenes, what's his name, interrupts. With like
Jerry, and he helps her with an anecdote of like, oh, this is what happened for me.
I had to stick my entire arm inside of a cow. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a real shame. You know, we had to put it down.
Yeah, maybe he's like constantly interrupting. Like, we'll get to a really like interesting part. Mm-hmm. He's like explaining, he's like, and the crowd, you know, they just keep pushing on me, and they keep pushing me, and then all of a sudden he's like, well, actually, this one, you know, today at work, there was this time where like a puppy came in, and I saved the puppy's life, and everyone's like, shut up, Jerry. We're obviously listening to his story right now. Could you shut up for a goddamn second so we could hear this obviously way more interesting narrative?
And maybe like.
He does that maybe like 3 times.
Yeah, comedy comes in threes. So on the third time, they throw a drink in his face and he just shuts up.
Yeah, he doesn't even like get started. He's like, well, actually, and then they throw the drink and like continue.
It's like Kiana or someone.
Someone like that's not as like rambunctious.
That's just like listening to the story and wants to hear or Amy, and like they're just listening to the story and they want to hear it how it ends because like I'm very interested in these crazy Americans or whatever, and then you know. He starts talking, it's just, psh, continue?
Keep going.
Yeah.
But like, did you just continue? And they're like, okay, all right.
Maybe she throws like a shot in his face.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think if it was an entire beer, that would put a lot of fluid all over the table, and that would be annoying.
Yeah, because so a shot would make sense. Yeah.
Maybe she throws a Jell-O shot at him, and it just bounces off his face.
Just like, what? That's weird.
He's like... I don't know why, but I'm imagining this guy as being like what's his name again?
Jerry.
I'm imagining Jerry as being a big hippie. You know, he's got like real long hair and a big beard.
Oh, like, really?
Puts it up in a ponytail. Maybe he's got like a few...
Oh, maybe that works. And I just want to be a real douchebag.
Yeah. And he's like, for the rest of the...
And the whole show, you're just questioning how they're friends. Like, why does this get here? The rest of them seem like all good, you know, friendly people.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just like, how did...
And then you realize that the only 2 people with cars are Ryan, who none of them like because he doesn't work at all.
No, they like Ryan. Okay. I think Ryan and Derek are like best friends.
Okay.
That's like their sort of, they were college or freshman year roommates. They've been friends since, they've been roommates since.
Okay.
It's, you know, the annoying thing about Ryan for Derek is that Ryan's job pays and he barely works. Mm-hmm. So that's what bothers him.
Yeah.
And maybe we could have sort of a subplot where like Ryan's also like not very clean, mm-hmm. and that upsets Derek as well.
Yeah.
But maybe they get through that. But I imagine they're friends, and like Ryan, Derek, Kiana, and Amy are sort of like the heart of the friend group. Like that's the core. Those are all good friends. And Jerry's like the wild card that like I'm not really sure. Like maybe they all met freshman year.
Yeah.
And they were like in the same orientation group or something.
Refuses to leave.
And Jerry was like just joined up and was like, hey guys, what are we doing? They're like, who are you? And he like just refused to leave.
I imagine.
And so that's their friendship with him, is that he just never leaves.
Yeah, I imagine him. They're very much like how the gang treats Sweet D in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Well, I think they're nice to him.
Uh-huh.
But like they are annoyed with him. But they're not like mean to him.
Yeah.
Like they're mean to D.
Well, yeah, but I imagine these people are better people than those.
Yeah, they Always Sunny people. Yeah.
But yeah, and then maybe like they realize, like, Ryan's got this super shitty car. He refuses to spend any money on it. You know, like, he's making all this money from his job, but he spends it on all this stupid bullshit.
Maybe Jerry has a really nice car.
And Jerry's got this, like, huge van that, like, can fit everyone and, like...
But he refuses to drive it.
And it's like...
Maybe Ryan is, like, okay with driving, but, like, when they go in his car, it's, like, a little precarious.
Yeah, and it smells bad, and it's, like, maybe... like the passenger seat, the floor's falling out, so you just see the
you gotta, like, it's a real rickety car.
Yeah, and so maybe
but he really cares about it, and he has, like, a name for it. He calls it, like,
Jethro.
What?
Jethro.
He calls it Jethro.
Yeah.
And then Jerry has, like, a really nice SUV that he refuses to drive with him anywhere, though.
Yeah, maybe it's like Ryan's got this car and it's Jethro. I named it after my first pet, my dead cat. And then they just, like, show in the compartment, you just got the cat stuffed in there.
No, that's messed up. We're not doing that.
No, but it's stuffed. It's just like, it's like on a pedestal.
It's still messed up. No, we're not doing that.
Maybe he puts it, maybe no one can ride in the passenger seat because he's got the cat skeleton on the seat.
No, fuck that. No, that's awful.
Or on the dash.
No, we're not doing a dead cat. Maybe he has, like, a little cat, like...
He's got its head. He's got the skull hanging.
No, he's not doing... That's insane.
Why?
We're not doing that.
It's funny.
I'm trying to make Ryan a likable character.
He is likable. He's just weird about his dead cat. Maybe it's like, this cat showed me more affection than my mother ever did.
That's weird.
Jethro the cat.
We'll think about it. But
and it's like, yeah,
the answer's probably no.
He died in this car. Right there.
No.
He died giving birth. We thought he was a boy cat, but he was a girl cat. But
No.
I'm not changing his name after he died.
You're going too far, Charlie.
Well, thank you very much for that pitch. I liked it quite a bit. I think it's a good, high-quality show. Maybe not the most original, but definitely...
well, I mean, it is pretty original, because no one else has pitched... there's no show like that. It's just that it's... very tame comedy. It's something that they would probably put on TV. Yeah. You know, that's something I could imagine being
like
on TV.
TBS.
And I did steal the character of Derek from Just the Life of My Friend, so it's not super original in that
Derek?
sense. No.
Okay, well, that's fine.
Yeah.
What's his name?
But he'll know as soon as...
Bleep it out.
No, I'm not going to say that. But he'll know is if he heard this, he'd be like, that's me.
Is he not a fan?
Is he not a VRPer?
Yeah.
No, he's not.
So he's not a very reasonable pilot?
Is that what we call our fans?
I guess.
We call them pilots.
Well, let's call them pilots.
Mm-hmm.
All right, everyone who's
No, we should call them passengers.
That's good. That's better.
Because we're the pilots.
We are the pilots. You're the gunner, and I'm the pilot.
Yeah. Well, I was a co-pilot.
And I'm
both.
You're my Chewie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, what? I don't want to be Chewie.
Why not?
Why am I not the pilot, actually, when I think about it? You do host, but I do all the other fucking work.
Yeah, I know. I don't know why, but...
So I am like Chewie, because you're Han, you don't really do anything. I'm doing all the fucking work.
Yeah, I'm just like, it basically does it edits itself, basically.
Oh, yeah, sure it does. All right, Thank you for listening.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to the Very Reasonable Pilots podcast. I've been your host. Charles Long with me, as always, has been my co-host, editor, producer, co-pilot, and gunner, Jacob Cloth. You can find us on Twitter at VRP Podcast, and you can find me on Twitter at Charles_Lungs. You can find, or Charles_Lungs, yeah. You can find...
that's your Twitter handle. Good job, proud of you.
And you can find us wherever good podcasts are held, except for Stitcher, because they want us to advertise for them. And we don't advertise for anyone, except for Crest Toothpaste. This episode is sponsored by Crest Toothpaste.
It's not.
Crest Toothpaste.
Do you really think they would pay us?
Swallow an entire tube of it and see what happens.
Oh, don't do that.
Do that.
I'm sure you'd be minty fresh or something. 9 out of 10 dentists would not recommend swallowing a whole tube.
Don't swallow the whole tube. Just empty a tube of Crest toothpaste in your mouth and swallow it and see really what comes out the other end.
What the other? Oh, God. Oh.
It's the nicest smelling shits you'll ever take in your entire life.
Probably. Who needs poopery when you have that?
Yeah, exactly. All right. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.